Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the annals of time, exploring the fascinating stories that have shaped our world. Today, we find ourselves in the Emerald Isle, in the charming city of Dublin, as we delve into the captivating narrative of Dublin through the ages. This tale of transformation and resilience will transport us through the misty veil of history to a land where Celtic traditions merged with Viking valor and where the whispers of the past continue to echo through the streets of this enchanting city. These early settlers, hunter-gatherers, and farmers left behind remnants of their presence in the form of ancient artifacts and monuments, such as the passage tombs of Newgrange and Nothi, which still stand today as testaments to their ingenuity and spiritual depth. As the centuries passed, the Celts arrived on the scene, bringing with them their distinct culture, language, and traditions. They established a thriving community, with the Hill of Tara serving as the seat of power for the High King of Ireland. The Celts were skilled craftsmen, traders, and warriors, and their legacy can still be seen in the intricate metalwork, colorful textiles, and epic poetry that have been passed down through the ages. However, the Celtic dominance was not unchallenged. Around 841 AD, the Vikings, those fearless seafarers from Scandinavia, arrived on the Dublin scene, establishing a settlement they called Dublin. The Vikings brought their own brand of commerce, craftsmanship, and martial prowess, which would eventually blend with the existing Celtic culture to create a unique Dublin identity. The Viking influence can still be seen in the city's layout, with its narrow streets and wooden buildings, as well as in the language and customs of the people. As we approach the dawn of the medieval era, Dublin finds itself at the crossroads of history, poised between the old world and the new. The city is a hotbed of activity, with merchants, monks, and warriors all vying for power and influence. In this formative period, the seeds of Dublin's future greatness are being sown. The city's strategic location, at the mouth of the River Liffey, makes it an attractive hub for trade and commerce. The Viking settlement is expanding, with new buildings, roads, and bridges being constructed to accommodate the growing population. Meanwhile, the Celtic traditions continue to thrive, with the city's inhabitants maintaining strong ties to their cultural heritage. As the medieval era unfolds, Dublin's strategic location continues to attract settlers, traders, and invaders alike. In 1014, the Battle of Clontarf takes place, a pivotal event that marks a significant turning point in Irish history. The forces of Brian Boru, the High King of Ireland, clash with those of the Viking king Sigtrygg Silkbeard, resulting in a decisive victory for the Irish. Although Brian Boru falls in battle, his legacy endures, and the Vikings are eventually absorbed into the Irish population. The 12th century brings significant changes to Dublin as the Normans arrive on the scene. In 1169, a group of Norman knights, led by Earl Richard de Clare, also known as Strongbow, lands at Bannow Bay in County Wexford. They are invited by the King of Leinster, Diarmaid Mac Murchada, who seeks their help in regaining his throne. The Normans quickly establish themselves as a dominant force in Irish politics, and their influence can still be seen in Dublin's architecture, language, and culture. One notable example of Norman influence is the construction of Christ Church Cathedral, which begins in 1172 under the supervision of Strongbow himself. This magnificent structure, with its Romanesque arches and stunning stained glass windows, becomes a symbol of Dublin's growing prosperity and cultural sophistication. As the city's population expands, new buildings, roads, and bridges are constructed to accommodate the influx of settlers. In 1210, King John of England grants Dublin its first charter, establishing the city as a royal borough with its own mayor and council. This marks the beginning of Dublin's development as a major commercial center, with trade links stretching across the Irish Sea to England, Wales, and beyond. The city's merchants become wealthy and influential, and their guilds play a significant role in shaping Dublin's social and economic landscape. As the 13th century progresses, Dublin continues to grow and prosper, despite facing numerous challenges, including wars, famines, and pestilence. In 1297, the city is granted a new charter by King Edward I of England, which further solidifies its position as a major urban center. The charter establishes Dublin's right to self-governance, allowing the city's citizens to elect their own mayor and councillors. During this period, Dublin's cultural scene also flourishes, with the establishment of several monasteries and churches, including St. Patrick's Cathedral, which is founded in 1191. The city becomes a hub for learning and intellectual inquiry, attracting scholars and clerics from across Europe. As the medieval era draws to a close, Dublin has emerged as a vibrant, cosmopolitan city, with a rich cultural heritage and a strong sense of identity. In the words of Gerald of Wales, a 12th-century historian, Dublin is a city of noble aspect, with a good harbor and a fertile surrounding countryside. This description captures the essence of medieval Dublin, a city that has grown and evolved over the centuries, shaped by the interactions of its diverse inhabitants. As the city looks to the future, it is poised on the threshold of a new era, one that will bring both challenges and opportunities in equal measure. The Black Death, which ravages Europe in the 14th century, has a devastating impact on Dublin's population, with estimates suggesting that up to 60% of the city's inhabitants perish. The city's economy is severely disrupted, and many of its buildings and infrastructure are left in disrepair. However, even in the face of such adversity, Dublin's resilience and determination shine through, as its citizens work tirelessly to rebuild and restore their beloved city. As the 15th century dawns, Dublin begins to experience a resurgence in trade and commerce, with the city's merchants establishing strong links with other European cities, including Bristol, Liverpool, and Bordeaux. The city's harbor is expanded and improved, allowing larger ships to dock and increasing the volume of goods that can be imported and exported. This period also sees the rise of the powerful Anglo-Norman families, who dominate Dublin's politics and society for centuries to come. One notable example of these families is the Fitzgeralds, who become Earls of Kildare and play a significant role in shaping Dublin's history. In 1487, the Fitzgeralds are instrumental in establishing the Guild of St. Luke, a powerful trade guild that represents the interests of Dublin's merchants and artisans. This guild becomes a major force in the city's economic life, regulating trade practices and protecting the rights of its members. As the 16th century unfolds, Dublin continues to evolve, with the city's merchants and traders playing a significant role in shaping its destiny. The Fitzgeralds, who had risen to prominence in the previous century, remain a dominant force in Dublin's politics and society. In 1537, the Earl of Kildare, Thomas Fitzgerald, leads a rebellion against the English crown, seeking greater autonomy for Ireland. Although the rebellion ultimately fails, it marks a significant turning point in Dublin's history, as the city begins to assert its own identity and seek greater independence from England. The subsequent centuries see Dublin undergo significant transformations, with the city becoming a major center of learning and culture. In 1592, Trinity College is founded by Queen Elizabeth I, and it quickly becomes one of the premier institutions of higher education in Ireland. The college attracts scholars and intellectuals from across Europe, and its influence helps shape Dublin's intellectual and cultural landscape. As the centuries pass, Dublin continues to grow and prosper, with the city becoming a major commercial center. In 1661, the Dublin Corporation is established, giving the city greater control over its own affairs. This marks an important milestone in Dublin's development, as the city begins to take charge of its own destiny. As one historian notes, Dublin was no longer just a colonial outpost, but a thriving metropolis with its own unique character and identity. The 18th century sees Dublin experience a period of significant cultural and artistic flourishing, with the city becoming a hub for writers, poets, and musicians. Jonathan Swift, one of Ireland's most famous writers, becomes Dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral in 1713, and his writings provide a scathing critique of English rule in Ireland. The city's literary scene continues to thrive, with writers such as Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Brinsley Sheridan making significant contributions to the world of literature. As the centuries come full circle, Dublin's legacy as a vibrant and culturally rich city is cemented. Today, visitors from around the world flock to Dublin to experience its unique blend of history, culture, and entertainment. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.